Hi and welcome. I'm Bill Lampton, and I have with me today a guest who also was my guest on my WBCX FM radio program, Sarina Roth, who's the owner of Never the Rock Photography in Brazelton, Georgia. And Sarina gave me such inspiring, helpful answers about photography then. I wanted her to share them with you now. Welcome, Sarina. Great to have you with us.
Great to be here. Thank you, Bill.
And the first thing that I remember asking you was, if I'm a person who wants to improve my photography, what would be maybe the top 6 or 7 tips that you would give me? And I remember you answered one that maybe I didn't want to hear the answer to begin with. You said, read the manual.
Read the manual, right. That's always the first one. It's a great way to just review the way that your camera works and all of the functionality that it has available to you. It will go over all of the tools and the ways that you can improve your photography just by learning how to use it.
So these things really are written where we can understand them?
Most of the time.
Most of the time. Takes a little digging sometime.
Right.
But don't throw your manual away.
No.
Keep it handy because you never know when you'll need it later on.
Absolutely, that's right. And I would also recommend trying some of the features as you're reading through it so you can actually practice using your camera while you're reading it.
Something else that really struck me was when you said that to improve our photography, we need to step out of our comfort zone. What do you mean by that?
Well, a lot of people enjoy using their camera for things like with a family or with their pets, their dog, just common uses. And it's fun sometimes just to start taking pictures of things that you don't normally shoot, such as landscapes or architecture even. A lot of people just do vacation pictures. So if you've got time around the house and you can start using your camera to create different types of photography, that's going to sharpen your skills as well.
Give a little variety to what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And then something else you said was, don't just rely on the manual or don't just rely on being a little bit different. Look at other people's work in photography.
That's right. That's true. It's a great exercise to go on websites, look through magazines, and just start taking note of different lighting techniques or even different focal points within the camera that the other photographers use. You can use different props and things like that you might see in other photographers' work without actually stealing their ideas, because you're just applying different techniques to your own personal skill.
Not really a copyright on ideas. There might be a copyright on pictures, but there's not a copyright on ideas.
Right, exactly.
I also was intrigued by your saying we all have this habit with this little camera of mine or almost any other camera. We feel like we've got to get the photo subject directly in the center, and we're so centered on that. What about that?
Well, that's true. I know when I was a child and first starting to work with a camera, the basic rule was always center your subject. But you can actually expand your horizons and become a little bit more creative if you start to maybe put your subject a third of the way within the frame. This can make some really nice dramatic photographs, especially if, say for instance, your subject is gazing across the photograph itself. So it can be very dramatic.
And again, that's a part of variety. Don't just do everything the standard way every time.
Right, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
This gets me to something else that you advised, and that is change your perspective.
Yes, this is a fun one because I'm 5'5", and as I walk around all day, I see everything from my perspective being 5 feet 5 inches tall.
That doesn't change.
It doesn't change unless I'm sitting. But so what I like to do sometimes is actually get down on the ground, get down on my knees, or lay down in the grass even, and see things from a different perspective, especially if you're taking pictures of pets or things like that. It's fun to do that, and you get a really different viewpoint in your photographs doing it that way.
For example, down on the floor, you'd see the world like a child sees it.
Right. Right.
Now, in the foreground of the picture, we pay a lot of attention to the background of a picture ordinarily, but in the foreground of a picture, maybe our tendency is to always have that clean, always have that clear. Nothing in the foreground. You've got some ideas on that, though.
Right, right. It sort of adds a special style to a photograph if you can place maybe a bouquet of flowers, or say for instance if you're doing a business portrait or headshot, you could put a pencil holder or some business desk type items there, and as you focus in on your subject, the items in the foreground are going to become blurry, but they offer sort of a nice frame around the image. So it's just something fun to play with.
And you see some of the best magazine photography done that way, don't you?
Yes.
And I imagine even film photography is done the same way.
You will start noticing it, yes,
right.
in movies and that sort of thing if you look for it.
Then too, you advised notice the details. Notice the details. There's an old saying that became popular a few years back, the devil is in the details. The details can be harmful or they can be helpful. Give us your counsel on noticing the details.
Well, it is important that when you're about to take a picture, review the background in comparison to your subject, because many times there could be something sticking out of the back of a person's head, like a lamppost, or and a lot of times you can crop out things like wall plugs or light switches just by taking a step to the left or to the right, and still get your subject nice and clean. There are computer software programs that can help erase those things afterwards, but it's easier if you just get it right the first time.
And if a plant is growing out of somebody's head,
right.
It gives a little extra challenge,
yes,
doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Well, another of your major points of advice was, don't be afraid to get creative with software. You've already mentioned some of the software that we could use. What are some that you would point out that would have special advantage and would be fairly easy for the non-professional photographer to learn?
Well, my favorites, of course, are going to be for the professional. I work with Photoshop, and there are a lot of non-professionals that work with Photoshop as well. I also work with Lightroom, which gives you an opportunity to change the feel of some of the photographs with black and whites and aging an image. And
we're talking about editing now, after the photos have been taken.
Right, after they've been taken. There are a lot of even free software programs that you can use. I know that Windows has some different programs, that sort of thing, that are very easy to use, and a lot of people are getting on the bandwagon and really enjoying the creativity of working with their photographs after they've been taken.
Well, and the good thing about it is you don't have to be absolutely perfect with that, because if you take an original and you get it at a point that you don't want it, you can really just kind of start all over with it.
Right.
So you haven't messed up the entire project.
Right. You don't want to use your original and alter that. You want to always work with a copy.
Well, these have been great tips. Let's summarize them very quickly. Read your manual, practice outside your comfort zone, look at other people's work, don't always center your subject, change your perspective, add something in the foreground, notice details, and get creative with software. If you put those 7 together, even a very novice beginning photographer can be on the road to improvement. And the more you improve, the more you're going to enjoy that hobby of photography.
Right, I agree. That's what I think.
Well, Sarina, you've given us some terrific information, as I just said, and we'd like to know more. So tell us, please, about how we can get to your website.
Well, the web address is www.nevertherock.com.
I see we're putting that down here below.
There's plenty of information on there. There's one side of the website shows samples of my work. You can review some of the portrait work I've done, work with babies and children and pets, and even some commercial work and some of the magazine covers that I've done. The other section of the website focuses on products, and I do have some products that I sell that feature my own images But I also work with other people's photography to create custom gifts and presents that you could give to your family and your friends, with graphics that have the names of the people on there, dates, any type of title for a special event. So they're fun custom products that you can't find anywhere else.
And I've been to your website. As I say, it's amazing the diversity of the work that you do and the quality as well. I certainly encourage our viewers to go there. Thanks again for being with us, Sarina. And in closing, I'm Bill Lampton. I invite you to visit my website as well, www.championshipcommunication.com.